As I start, I'd like to ask both coaches to give a quick remark about their week here at the Rose Bowl game. We'll start with Coach Riley.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a great week. You know, you'd always heard so much about the Rose Bowl. You know, both growing up, just as a kid, as a fan of college football, and then certainly getting into this business. You know, and the great reputation that this game has, and you know, now getting to experience the week, you can see why. The venue's incredible. Every detail by the Rose Bowl committee has been taken care of to a T. Our players have had a great time, some great experiences that they'll remember for the rest of their lives, and so we really appreciate the hospitality and the opportunity to be here. Like every team, you know, especially in a game with this magnitude, you try to balance, you know, all the activities, having fun, not shortchanging our guys on that side of it, but also having great prep work and getting ready to play. Obviously, a great team in Georgia. So I feel like we've had a great week of practice. We're anxious and ready for the game to be here. It's been a long time coming, a lot of build-up, but I feel like our guys are excited, prepared, ready to play very well.
Coach Smart?
Yeah, on behalf of the SEC and the University of Georgia, I'd like to thank the Tournament of Roses. They've been wonderful hosts. Like Lincoln said, first class bowl game, one of the best I've ever been involved in. My previous experience out here was a little different because we didn't stay really with the Tournament of Roses. It was a little different experience, but it's been tremendous. I think our players have really enjoyed it. They've done a good job of keeping them busy and giving them something to do, but also not to the point of being a major distraction from what is a really important game to our program. We have great respect for Oklahoma, you know, the university, Coach Stoops, Coach Riley. You know, they've got a tremendous program. I've always had a tremendous amount of respect for what they've done. It's been a place that has set a standard, not only in their conference, but in the country. So we're excited to get an opportunity to play a really good program in them. You know, a lot of players last year, a lot of players this year have helped set a standard for what we want to play to at the University of Georgia, and we try each game to go out and achieve that standard. And this senior group has been very special to me. A lot of them I knew through recruiting, but this is a second year with them, and I've seen a little bit of a metamorphosis of leadership, of taking ownership and doing the right things, and there's a good group of them. And I think a lot of the investment that last year's seniors made has helped with this group as well. So we're really excited for the opportunity to play in the college football playoff. I think it's an awesome honor. It's a great experience. Been a lot of build-up for this game, like Lincoln said, and I think that it's time to go play the game. And one of the hardest things to do as a coach is manage that emotion and that anxiety building into such a great game like this. And we're excited and ready to go play. Thanks.
Thanks, Coach. We're going to open up the floor for questions. We have 2 mic runners on both sides. Please raise your hand, and when asking a question, please state your name and media outlet. We'll start here on the left.
Wes Blankenship with WXIA in Atlanta. This question is for both coaches. With experience in the college football playoff before, what are these next 24 hours plus like leading up to the game?
Yeah, I think it's a chance to finally get back on your normal routine, get the guys in a routine where they feel comfortable, and for yourself as a coach. You know, there's a lot of build up, a lot of attention around this game, and so I think it's just refocusing in 100%, getting on that routine, kind of settling down, getting away from all the noise, all the attention, and getting ready to play your very best game.
Yeah, very similar. I mean, we get back into a much more normal routine of a game week, at least for the next 24 hours, because everything's been built into. There's been an event, there's been some kind of activity where now the activity is the game. So the next 24 hours are much more normal for our guys. But the most abnormal thing is they haven't had it in however many days it's been, 28 or 30 days. So it's good to get back to some normalcy for them.
Maybe a question there on the right from Ralph.
Ralph Russo, the Associated Press. For both coaches, you each, in different ways, stepped into situations that were not rebuilds. You had good players in the pipeline at each place. I'm wondering what the challenges are for each of you, let's say different circumstances, of taking over that job when you have good players and kids who are, and it's not necessarily a rebuild, but you still want to put your stamp on the program?
Well, I think in my case, different than Lincoln's, there's two kinds of philosophies there. There's where you come in and scratch, overhaul, throw everything out because you have conviction that what was done before wasn't working. Then there's, you got to win the players over because they may not see it as there was a problem. They may see it as they were completely happy with winning 9, 10 games a year, and that's what I call complacency. And you've got to be able to make some changes and make them in the right direction to turn the program around, whether it's new ideas, new energy, whatever it is. There's different ways to do things, and I think we all realize that. And in our case, that was probably the greatest challenge, was not accepting what had been done before as the norm and convincing the players that are currently on the team that we can do better. We can do better things, and we can improve. Well, how do we do that? Well, we do it this way. Well, that may not be the right way in their mind. You've got to convince them it is, and sometimes that takes more work than just coming in where the team's hungry and more aggressive to learn and listen to what you have to say.
Yeah, obviously my situation was a little unique. Probably the biggest challenge was starting in early June. That honestly was probably the biggest challenge. And whatever changes that we did want to make, feeling like you had to get them done pretty quickly. And I think there will be some more changes that we make that we felt like because of the timing, it wasn't appropriate to try to, change maybe something bigger in June. That's maybe something that happens down the line after the season. So, yeah, obviously my situation was different in having our staff in place. A lot of those guys that I'd worked with, been a part of, we'd had a lot of success together, and so I think for us it's continuing to build on it, trying to find a few ways to get a little bit better, and then maintaining the high expectations that there's always been at Oklahoma.
Question in the front right there.
Murray Pooh, Bulldog Illustrated. For both coaches, you mentioned the emotions. How important is it going to be to set the tempo you want in the first 10 minutes of the game?
Yeah, it's always important, especially when you hadn't played in a while. But is that going to sit there and decide the game? Who knows? There's going to be ups and downs in this game, just like all games, especially when you play against great competition. And so, certainly you want to start fast, but you're going to have to be able to hang in there in this game. Both teams are good enough. I would suspect both teams are going to have some strong points in the game, some runs, and how you answer that is to me going to be a big key in this game.
Yeah, I always think it comes back to the response, because there's moments they've had this year, we've had this year, past years, big games. It's a momentum game. The college game is such a momentum game, and there's so much emotion involved that a lot of the outcomes are dictated by how you handle what happens. Not necessarily what happens, but how you handle what happens. And I think that's really important, and both teams have handled that well throughout the year because they both had some tough situations.
Okay, we have a question up here on the left.
Dean Blevins, CBS Oklahoma City. Kirby, in talking about the quarterbacks and yours in particular, you've got in this game the difference is vast in terms of experience. What about leading into it with your young guy? Do you talk to him much about the big stage, or do you just assume that he'll continue what he's done this season?
Well, the good thing for him is he's not playing against Baker. They're not on the field at the same time unless we put him out there at defensive back or something, which that would really concern me. So he doesn't have to do that. The good news is he has done a good job of using the people around him to help him. Also, he has played in some really big games this year for us, so he's got some experience. Traveling to Notre Dame the first time, I was a lot more worried about how he was going to respond to adversity, to mistakes and things like that. Having seen him play throughout the year, play in our conference, play in the SEC championship game, I think he'll have the confidence to respond the right way. It doesn't mean he won't have jitters. Baker played in this game, 2 years ago, I think, and he was maybe a sophomore or junior. I'm not sure what year he was then, but you have to grow through that. You have to use the people around you. But we've made sure he understands that he's not in a statistical warfare with Baker Mayfield. We know that Baker's a very good player.